everybody, it's Justin here to review A Million Ways to Die in the West alongside my good friend 22TigerDude. Stick around to the end of the video and 22Tiger gives his thoughts on Million Ways to Die in the West. Million Ways to Die in the West is directed by Seth MacFarlane, who directed Ted, and this is his second directed movie. And he also stars in this movie alongside Charlize Theron, Liam Neeson, Giovanni Ribisi, Neil Patrick Harris, Amanda Seyfried, and many others. And this is a Western movie that I was actually looking forward to. It was in my top 10 anticipated movies of 2014. I was really hoping for a Blazing Saddles kind of movie. And this movie was alright. It wasn't the best. It was kind of a letdown. It definitely had some funny moments. But this movie is about Seth MacFarlane, who was kind of a weak guy in the frontier. And his girlfriend leaves him. He tries to win her back by learning how to shoot and challenge Neil Patrick Harris to a gunfight. And also there's Liam Neeson's character in here. So there's a bunch of different plots going on in this movie, which I kind of think that kind of where it lost for me. You know, there's Liam Neeson's character, and then Seth MacFarlane trying to win this battle against Neil Patrick Harris. And then you have Giovanni Ribisi and Sarah Silverman, who also have their own kind of story. And I think Sarah Silverman and Giovanni Ribisi were the two of the funniest characters in the movie. They were hilarious together. They worked well, but their characters weren't needed to the story. They were just added characters and just there for laughs. I think the one thing I really did appreciate about this film is the music, the score, the opening credits. It all was very well done. There were some scenes where Seth MacFarlane kind of got on my nerves, and he was just rambling on about how the West was so bad. And I kind of got to the point where, okay, dude, I understand that the West is so bad. Move on, we get it. And there was just a bunch of ways that people were dying in the West, and he just sat there for like 5 minutes just going on, and just like this list about how the West was so bad. And I just really didn't like that scene. There were some scenes that were a little bit over the top, and you know, Seth MacFarlane, he does things over the top. Ted was an over the top movie, but it was handled so perfectly. There was a scene in here that I think was just a little bit longer than it needed to be, and it was just over the top, and it was just kind of stupid, but a little bit immature. But that's kind of how Seth MacFarlane is. But overall, A Million Ways to Die in the West had some funny scenes. There were some long, drawn-out scenes that weren't funny at all, just long dialogue between like Liam Neeson and Charlize Theron. But I did laugh at some scenes, but I think a lot of the jokes were hit and miss. There's one funny joke I really did like, and it's about his sheep, and I laughed so hard in the beginning. And I didn't laugh like that throughout the film much. I think so a lot of the jokes were hit and miss for me. I really did like the plot, but the characters, some of the characters were weak, especially Seth MacFarlane's character. He was weak, the weakest out of the whole group. I liked everybody else besides Seth MacFarlane's character. There were a couple amazing cameos that I applauded and really did enjoy. You guys seen the trailer, you already know what one of them is, but there's another great cameo. Check it out. I really did enjoy these cameos. So A Million Ways to Die in the West was a bit of a letdown. It did have its funny moments. Some of the jokes were a miss, some of the characters were dumb, not needed. So everything was just kind of iffy and just didn't work out all around. And then like there was 3 different plots kind of just intertwining, and it just didn't work out for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and give Million Ways to Die in the West a, this is gonna be hard because I have blended a B-, and I think I like Million Ways to Die in the West a little bit more. So I'm gonna go ahead and give Million Ways to Die in the West a B-. So yeah, B-. So 22TigerDude, what were your thoughts on Million Ways to Die in the West?
Hey everybody, on Justin Watches Movies channel, this is 22TigerDude, and I'm here to review A Million Ways to Die in the West. So I was really looking forward to this film. It just looked really funny, especially since I'm a huge fan of Ted. Ted is my favorite favorite comedy of 2012. It just makes me laugh so hard, but at the same time, it was just a very heartwarming film, and I really enjoy Family Guy, American Dad 2, but I gotta be honest, I was disappointed in A Million Ways to Die in the West. Now, I know this is getting negative reviews, and while I could say I don't hate this film, trust me, I was entertained. It just wasn't good, which makes me sad to say. Most of the cast does a good job. Liam Neeson was badass as the villain. His role isn't bigger until like the second half of the film, but Liam Neeson, it was just such a joy to see that guy on screen. Charlize Theron does a really good job in the film too, and man, she looks smoking hot. Seth MacFarlane does a really good job. I gotta say, Amanda Seyfried, Sarah Silverman, and Giovanni Ribisi, they did not need to be in this film. Their talent was wasted, plus they really did not serve any purpose for the film. Neil Patrick Harris is by far the show stealer in terms of comedy. Almost every line he said was just pure comedy gold in my opinion. I also enjoyed the music Seth MacFarlane put into this film. It was really good. The cinematography for the film looks great as well. And the cameos, of course, are just hilarious as hell. There are some funny moments. Like I enjoyed the scene with Charlize Theron teaching Seth MacFarlane how to use a gun. That was hilarious right there. I really enjoyed that whole scene. I enjoyed the scene with Seth MacFarlane's major freakout. And yeah, and there's others as well, but then there's most of the jokes that just feel so forced that Seth MacFarlane is fucking shoving down your throat. And yeah, first of all, why does he add fart and poop jokes into this film? They're not funny. I only laughed at one fart joke, and that was in the scene when Seth MacFarlane was explaining all the brutal ways you could die in the West. God. I think about the scene, and it still hurts my brain to this day thinking about the scene, but the worst scene of this film by far is this man. I'm not going to say who it is, but he takes a shit and the hat, and it's like a minute or a minute and a half long, and it was just so painful. My face watching that scene was all like, oh dear God. And I was eating popcorn and drinking fruit punch. Like, what the fuck, Seth MacFarlane? There was also a scene where you actually see jizz on a face that actually took it too far too. Not only just the jokes, but just the overall structure on the story didn't feel right, and some scenes just felt added just to make the movie longer. And while I personally wasn't bored with the running time, even with some of the unneeded added scenes, I wasn't bored watching the film. I could tell it's gonna bore some people though. And the ending too, also it felt very rushed, and you know how it's gonna go. While this is not a bad film, it is entertaining. I found it to be okay. It just could have been so much more better. If you love Seth MacFarlane, if you're aware of his humor, definitely check out A Million Ways to Die in the West though. It's not the worst film I've seen, but it's not the best film I've seen either. It's entertaining, but it's not good. I'm going to give A Million Ways to Die in the West a B-. Thank you, Justin, for having me here. I am 22TigerDude, and don't forget that I will always have Tiger Power. Yeah, buckaroo.